Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi. It's been a while since we had this conversation under this tree, but of course, what a historic moment to have this conversation against. I assume that this tree is perhaps historic as well, Prof.
Correct.
You came and found it here?
Yeah.
Let's have it here. Today being the 9th of this month, of course, the year is 2024. 8th of October actually remains now entrenched in the minds of Kenyans, being the first time that we've seen the impeachment of a deputy president under the new constitutional dispensation. And here we are, so much is at stake here. But then I know very well that you had a conversation with Jadel before the members of parliament took the vote at the National Assembly therein. I want first of all get your reactions on what actually happened at Parliament yesterday.
It was a day of shame for the country. We brought shame upon ourselves.
Why would you talk of shame when the members of Parliament actually did their own constitutional mandate? Why would you call that shame?
First of all, I want to tell Rigathi Gachagua that many Kenyans stand with him. Parliament may do what they have done, and Senate could indeed reaffirm what National Assembly has done. But he should take solace in the fact that Kenyans are with him. I say this was a day of shame because Parliament has chosen to show contempt to the people of Kenya, to do things that stands in direct opposition to everything good that we have fought for and stood for. They have done things that will shame our founding fathers who fought so hard for this country. That a national institution bestowed with the power and the instruments for enhancing good governance and economic prosperity for the people choose instead to engage in juvenile games at a very national level, at the highest possible national level in the august institution of Parliament, when Kenyans are facing very serious challenges. That serious men and women can parade ignorance at such a national scale is indeed a day of shame for this country. Because impeachment is not a small matter. The institutions charged with the responsibility of impeachment, the judiciary and the National Assembly, must use this responsibility in the interest of the people of Kenya. Not in the pursuit of narrow political interests, not in the interest of one individual. So it's a day of shame when you see grown-ups, grown-up men and women jumping up and down, excited just like children, because they want to send an individual home. To me, it was really shame.
So where do you draw the line between the Parliament performing its legal mandate and the so-called juvenile actions? Where do we draw the line so that we actually get some sort of a clear difference, so that somebody would actually come up and say, well and good, these people did their work, this is what they're doing.
You see, when Kenyans have spoken on very serious issues like the Finance Bill 2023-2024, when Kenyans have expressed themselves on the housing levy, when Kenyans are challenging the global agenda in this country, when Kenyans are speaking about IMF and World Bank, when Kenyans are talking about legislation that will basically kill the common man, our parliamentarians choose to engage in cheap games of impeachment. But that's okay, they are allowed to do it. But when you listen to educated men and women speaking on the floor of the House, then you are ashamed of being a Kenyan. Because look here, when you say something in the process of prosecuting a case, you must make a point. You must make a point. It's not enough to have facts. You must show that the nexus, the connection between what you are saying and how it helps between that and another set of facts, and how that is, excuse me, and how that is helping you to make the point you are making.
Okay.
So, for example, when you say Gachagua has property and you list the property, what point are you trying to make? And this is coming from people I really respect. There are not many people in that house I respect. But I listen to people like Otiende Amolo. These are people I regard very highly and respect. So when you talk about somebody having a list of properties, so what point are you trying to make? You must be making a point. What's the point?
So
because
the point here
having property
is not a problem.
It's not a crime.
It's not a crime.
It's not a crime.
But then having a property that could be, okay, the process of acquiring.
Yeah, where? But that's not the point you are making. You have not made even any such a claim. The argument that, the only argument you have is that Gachagua has 1, 2, 3, 4 parcels of land, which he has acquired in a span of 2 years. It's a very stupid argument, if it is an argument at all. It's not an argument because we have never tied ownership of property to the duration you take to acquire them. So this cannot come from an intelligent person. That is, you bring shame to the whole country. You bring shame to the whole country.
Why do you seem to be changing tune here? Because I've had you here and you've always told me that it actually appalls you to look at the number and the period within which our members of parliament and leaders in the political class acquire wealth in this country. And you say very well you cannot be elected the other day and you're already driving fuel guzzlers around.
What point will I be making?
What's the difference
what point will I be making? I'll be talking about theft of public property. I'll be talking about corruption in this country. I'll be talking about a collapsed country.
Now that's
the point I'll be making.
That is exactly.
But they are not making that point.
So
they are using something to impeach somebody. An impeachment is not a joke. An impeachment is a serious case. The whole country is sitting down, listening. What point are you making? That you cannot say that to impeach somebody. You can't say that. I'm allowed that as a public intellectual to talk about my country in very general terms. But I cannot take that to court.
Okay.
I cannot take that to court, leave alone make it a basis for impeaching somebody from office, high office of deputy president. It cannot be things like those.
So the members of parliament, the members of parliament say...
Look, why I'm saying it's shameful, I'm saying it's shameful because it's not difficult to build the nexus, the connection. It's not difficult. All these guys are thieves. I can link each of them to theft. So if I want to impeach somebody, from the president to the ministers to Gachagua, I will link. So this laziness is what I'm calling national shame.
Okay.
People must get me right. I'm saying they should have the energy, the intellectual power, the time. They should not be lazy. They should link what they are saying to what they are trying to, the point they are making.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be lazy. Don't say Gachagua's property.
So in short, you say that...
find a way without making it a legal or criminal issue, but address the mind, the thinking Kenyan. Thinking Kenyans who are watching and feeling ashamed. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because you are able, they should link. I'm not saying Gachagua is clean. It's possible to link. Link what you are saying. Link that property to theft. Not even in a criminal manner.
So that nexus should have been...
It's not there.
In short, you are saying that all these allegations must have been substantiated for them to meet that threshold.
You come out like you are saying Gachagua's children cannot buy a hotel or lease a hotel or do business. That is cheapness. That when you are a Kenyan sitting watching your TV, you switch it off. Okay. Yeah. They got somewhere and they switched. You are there, you saw. I switched it off. I couldn't follow anymore. It's nonsense.
Yeah, but there you saw you.
What is that? What are you watching?
I was actually following that and you left me.
And you see Gachagua, do I say he made a mistake? Or he threw a rope at them and they hanged themselves. He addressed the nation before going to parliament. What he was telling Kenyans, now these are the allegations. This is my response. If indeed there is something beyond what I'm saying, let them say tomorrow.
Okay.
Did they say
Do you
nothing?
think, first of all,
They say nothing.
do you think that was wise of him to that?
Yes.
What he did before then?
He did very good, so that he did very well, so that now they should have a chance to rebut what he said.
Okay. Now, the deputy president was actually invited to the parliament,
Yes.
and of course, to respond to all these allegations. Do you think that he did enough to actually convince these people that even on the fact that on the allegation that he had acquired wealth that cannot actually be commensurate to the salary that he has earned for the past 2 years, were you convinced that he actually defended himself convincingly? Because he had that chance.
I must confess I didn't even watch that part. But what did I watch? I watched the Gachagua from start to finish on the day before the impeachment day. I watched National Assembly read charge 1 up to charge 7. And by the time they were getting to 8, I was fed up. Because they were not... They went on as if they hadn't heard what he had said the previous day.
Okay.
So I don't think I was even interested in listening to what Gachagua would say. It was not necessary at all. It was not an intellectually convincing engagement to occupy a mind watching TV. And let me tell them, there are people who are watching there and they have minds. Not everybody is some sort of idiot. No, cheering. There are people also who are following intelligently. Say, okay, then nothing.
Okay.
That's what I'm calling the national shame.
Okay, so I think he responded to that, and of course there are parcels of land that he said he bought through a loan that he was given by one of the circles to which he is a member. And of course, the other property that was actually brought on board and under questioning, he therefore said that those belong to his late brother. Therefore, maybe the members of parliament were not actually convinced. But then, on the issue about undermining the president and maybe talking ill, undermining the county government of Nairobi and so on and so forth, generally, if you look at the kind of defense that the deputy president placed yesterday, just let me make this point. It was as if my boss did this. How comes it's wrong when I do so? So it was a battle between who is right and who is wrong, pitting him against his president. Do you think that is the best way through which...
You see, this is an impeachment process, which is mainly political. And that kind of arguing is okay, is allowed.
Okay.
But I wanted to concentrate on interfering with the county government. And I want to give Kenyans a very good example.
Yes.
A few years ago, Governor Songo was invited to State House. And this is on record. And I have no reason to doubt him. He was invited to State House in a ceremony that was already arranged. He makes it a little juicy by saying, alipatiwa kitu kidogo but that is just making the story juicy. But the truth is he was invited to State House in a prearranged function. And the general body was there. And he was given documents to sign. Transferring certain functions of Nairobi County to Nairobi Metropolitan NMS. That is interference with devolution. If you made that a ground for impeaching Uhuru Kenyatta, that is interfering with devolution.
Okay.
Because any transfer of services is a negotiated thing. You cannot arrive at a function in State House, you are told to sign. That's not negotiating. The two levels of government must negotiate in the process of transferring. There must be some. Are
you therefore trying to say that what was done back then between the president and the Nairobi?
That was interfering with the. And that was you make
but does it have constitutional basis and backup behind?
Listen to me. The Constitution says any level of government can transfer its services to any other level.
Yes.
But that's a process of negotiation, a discussion between the two levels. Okay. A governor cannot be summoned and told, now we are sign here. That is interference with devolution.
Okay.
As to whether that can constitute an impeachable offense, that's another story. Okay. But that is evidence of interfering with the devolution.
That was interference. Yes.
So Uhuru interfered with the devolution as the head of state. I'm not saying it was an impeachable offense. But I'm saying it was evidence of interference. But Gachagua talking to his Morima people in Nyamakima because Gachagua is a politician. In fact, if you went deeper, Gachagua would have done something good to cool the tempers of people who would have rioted in Nairobi and caused havoc. Talk to them and give them hope, and that, which is part of what the president's supposed to do. Yeah. That's not interfering with the evolution. And suggesting to Sakaja that honestly, you cannot evict people just like that.
But these are
you cannot remove people from Marigiti to another place. At the very worst, if you were to charge Gachagua for that, it will be incitement, which is a misdemeanor. I'm not a lawyer. You can't, it's not even a felony. You can leave alone making it impeachable.
For someone who should actually
if the president did that, who has an executive seal and authority and power, that can be interference.
For someone
because the president has a seal, his signature, and his seal of office. That can be interference. But a deputy president is just like you and I talking about an issue.
Who is in charge of coordinating how the county governments and the national government functions? Who is the nexus between who was given this particular...
That is chaired by the deputy president.
Yeah, that is chaired by the deputy president. So
did he bring... You see, did Gachagua cause anything to happen in that direction?
So that does not amount...
Did he, for example, take lorries to the new market and load the traders and bring them back to Marigiti? You know, we must put things on the scale that where we weigh them. Especially when you are talking about impeachment. Because it's not a small matter. Out of the 11 grounds, I'm not seeing any ground that can get anywhere near a ground for impeachment of a deputy president. And that's the shame I'm talking about. I'm not saying you cannot get grounds. Please, people should get me right. I'm saying it is a typical Kenyan laziness, typical Kenyan cheering of leaders, typical Kenyan style of elected leaders falling on themselves, bumping into each other if somebody calls them at State House or something like that. It is people excitedly because they have been promised. It is evidence of what they keep telling us of influence. It is a national shame. I expected to see a few people who are not led by their political side. Because if you look at those people who opposed the motion, they didn't oppose it because it lacked merit. No. They opposed it because they are on the other side of the political divide. They are mainly people who think the fallout will benefit them. The people, for example, from Ukambani, they think the Mount Kenya people will support Kalonzo. So that is the basis upon which they are opposing the motion. And on the other side, there are people who are close to President Ruto. There are people who are excited because Raila is working with
Ruto. So
that they did things which, frankly speaking, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, may God rest the soul of that great Kenyan, from wherever he was in his grave, if he was watching, he will feel very offended. He will regret that this is the country he sacrificed so much for and gave everything for.
So therefore, do you concur with the number of Kenyans who actually agree that the threshold for impeachment of any state officer has actually been lowered? They
have lowered it badly, that's what I'm
Parliament.
saying. Yeah. If they were to stick to this, then everybody will leave office.
And they're saying
they'll just hear you quarrel with your wife in the morning and they say that is gender-based violence, go home.
They're saying right now it's even easier to have the president impeached.
No, I mean, but you see, short-sightedness, selfishness, self-centeredness is very common in politics. So what you are saying will come to pass. It will come to pass. These people excited about this. Tomorrow, the shoe will be on the other leg. Tomorrow, I tell you tomorrow, somebody among these people lynching Gachagua will be lynched by the same mob.
Okay.
Because like you say, they have lowered the man who invented the guillotine machine, which made beheading people during the French Revolution very easy, because it was becoming too cumbersome. He said, tunataka tuue watu wengi. So, there are many traitors to the revolution. He came up with a guillotine machine. Kak, kichwa imetoka. Hata yeye aliingia hiyo machine.
Okay.
When the time came, aliingia hata yeye.
No, make me understand this finally as we wind up this conversation. Of course, the president, the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, was asked previously, before yesterday, before he presented himself before the August House to mount his defense. Therefore, that do you think that the National Assembly has the nod of the president when it comes to the impeachment motion? And he said yes. And actually, that was kind of very obvious when he rose there and went ahead to defend himself, because he was being asked. All these roadside declarations and attack on NIS and other senior officials of the government, why is it that you did that? And then it was like the president himself castigated the Inspector General of Police, and he said that we have the most incompetent Inspector General of Police. That video was played. There was also the part of these demolitions, and of course he brought the video of the president saying here that we are never going to make our people suffer. That kind of things do not actually happen. So it was a matter of fight between what the president said and what he said, and it was like, if it was right when the president said it, why is it wrong when I've said it? Why is it that you did not impeach him for saying those words, but you now want to crucify me for these things? Does it mean that if the president did it, then the deputy president can also do it? And does it mean that if the president was actually wrong, then the deputy president should actually maybe go scot-free on the same thing?
You know, there are two issues here. One is a question of politics. This thing is playing out in the political space. Okay. And in politics, you'll do that. You can't make that a defense in a court of law. No, because somebody did it, you are doing, no, that's, but this is politics. But even in a court of law, and that's why I'm saying the National Assembly is juvenile in many ways. The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya is strong on matters of fairness, equality, natural justice. Very strong on those two. And therefore, why would the National Assembly impeach Gachagua over something which the president is also guilty of, if it is guilty? The Constitution talks about that. That is natural justice, fairness, equality. You know, the Constitution is very strong on those. The same National Assembly is impeaching Gachagua, has impeached Gachagua, because he owns unexplained property. The same National Assembly. And these things will play out in the Supreme Court. You'll see. This thing will end in the Supreme Court. And I can assure you on this day, umesema tarehe ngapi?
Today is 9th.
The Supreme Court will vindicate Gachagua at some point. Because the same National Assembly, less than a year ago, actually it's about, yes, less than a year ago, there were reverting cabinet secretaries who had been reappointed after the disbandment of those who were lucky to come back. They gave us outrageous figures about their new wealth. Somebody had 100 million. 1.5 years later, when he's going through another round of vetting, he had 300 million. Why did they vet him and allow him to become a minister? Okay. And the same cabinet is now presiding over the impeachment of Gachagua, over the same. So does it mean the Constitution, these things will come out in the Supreme Court.
Does it mean that if those people went scot-free, then the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, should also have gone scot-free in this?
On the principle of fairness and equality and natural justice, they will be arguing in the Supreme Court. And you'll see, this case will test the limit of our Constitution. It will grow our jurisprudence. It will enrich our law, because this impeachment of Gachagua will surely be quashed by the Supreme Court.
Prof.
I'm telling you. And scholars will debate this for another 100 years. So I like it for that.
Prof.
Because it's going to grow our law.
Let me ask you this. If you steal your neighbor's goat and go scot-free, and I come and steal, do the same thing, but I'm arrested and I'm jailed, do I therefore argue that because Prof went scot-free, then I should also go scot-free?
You are among the bad students. You know, I'm a teacher. You are a bad student. You are not listening. This is the problem with many students. I'm telling you, if it is in a criminal trial, that cannot be a defense.
Okay.
Yeah, it cannot be a defense. But in the context of an impeachment, which is a political process, borrowing a lot on legal practices and procedures.
Okay.
Yeah, this issue will come up. That when a man comes before you, before you as parliament, and another man comes before you, you must treat them with equal measure. Why were you unfair to Gachagua, asking him how he had acquired his wealth in 2 years? And yet you didn't ask the same question of the ministers you vetted, clearly telling the public, the people of Kenya, that in 1.5 years, they have been able to make 300 million without any evidence. No company, they own nothing. Some of them saying a legal farm. Where are the cases they handled to give them 200 million? How much have they paid in taxes in the corresponding period? You didn't ask these nominees.
So you've got a problem with
Today now you are coming to ask Gachagua. On the principle of fairness and equality, presiding over such a national exercise, of such a magnitude, the Supreme Court will be asked to make a determination on the same.
Okay.
And therefore this impeachment, the Senate will certainly try and find him guilty. They will throw away a lot of this. Out of the 11, Senate will try to show they are a serious institution, body, they are better, they are the upper house, they will speak all the good English, look serious. They will break them, throw them out and remain with 1 or 2 and find him guilty.
Okay.
Senate, out of the 11, they will throw away more than 8.
Okay.
Because most of them, all of them actually, but they will remain with 1 or 2 just to complete the process of sending him home. The Supreme Court will save Gachagua.
Is there something that the Deputy President did wrong, maybe that landed him where he is currently, that maybe you would advise him to do differently at the Senate so that he escapes this?
Not at the Senate. At the Senate, the die is cast.
So the die is cast?
The die is cast.
His case is closed?
The die is cast. The only hope Gachagua can have is the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Because by now people talk about our judiciary, Supreme Court, but this,
and by the way,
this is precedent setting. This is jurisprudence, whatever that word is difficult.
Jurisprudence.
Jurisprudence.
Rather, I'm being made to understand that it's not even the mandate of the Supreme Court to go to directly. He'll have to pass to the High Court first of all.
Yes.
Yeah, for this.
But you can go to the Supreme Court for advice on it. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction.
But if he's supposed to challenge the outcome, then he should start.
Yeah, that should start with the High Court.
And then go all the way.
But there are many arguments people can have. They say this is like a petition.
Well,
you can say it's like a petition, and only the Supreme Court has jurisdiction. No, lawyers will argue, but it is really going to grow our law.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here, and the Prof says here that it's a shame whatever he witnessed on the 8th of August. The year is 2024, when the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, was actually impeached by 281 members of Parliament. And of course, 44 decided to vote against this motion, and 1 person abstained. But at the end of the day, the majority had their way. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you that our team is still focused on the ground. Richard Mwenja is always here with the former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa. All these people are going to bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of all that is taking place in this country and beyond. Jadel Kabiro as well is also a member of this team. Ladies and gentlemen, our eyes are still focused, and we are on this Gachagua issue, and we'll keep you updated. Till then, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans. Okay.